Hello folks, let's talk a little bit today about law enforcement and the police. Now, recently I posted some videos about some police in both New York City and in California that have done some different things that would be certainly questionable. One of the things in New York City is enforcement of mandates from Blasio and Cuomo that are at their core unconstitutional mandates. And the question here is, what's the responsibility of law enforcement? And I get pretty mixed responses from people on the subject. Now, I'm obviously going to give you what I consider to be my position on the situation, and hopefully you can glean something from that. So on one side, people are saying, okay, the police are following orders. They're following the orders from the politicians. They're just doing their job. They're just doing what their bosses tell them to do. And my response to that is simple. A police officer takes an oath to uphold the Constitution and to defend and protect the liberties of individuals, citizens, and that's what the offices they hold are supposed to do as well, the politicians that are their quote-unquote bosses. First of all, I want to give you sort of a revolutionary thought or idea. It's something that I've heard a couple of people say, specifically a pastor in Montana has discussed this, and some other people I've heard say this as well. And me personally, politically, I think the government is not really legitimate. But besides that argument that people might have against that, I just want to point out that the only legitimate role of government and law enforcement, the only legitimate role, if there can even be one, is the protection of our liberties. Okay? So that means every single person, the president, governors, mayors, people that hold office, police officers, any agent of the government, all they should be doing is protecting the liberties of individuals, securing their liberty, making sure that people can operate freely without their natural rights being infringed. That means I should be able to go out to do whatever work I want to do so long as I'm not infringing on the rights of another person. I should go out and do these things that I want to do, and the government's there to protect that I can do what I want to do so long as I'm not infringing on the rights of another person. With this disease out there, that's the very tool that they've used to suggest that I'm somehow violating other people's rights if I go out in public because I might be sick. Well, I'm sorry, but might be's don't hold up. They don't hold water. I might be sick, or I might infect somebody. That isn't valid enough reason to strip somebody of their rights, right? I might be a criminal. You know what I'm saying? I might be this. I might be that. None of that holds water. Like, I might be all sorts of things. And as far as criminology is concerned, that's really, in a lot of ways, can be even construed as kind of a made-up concept as the governments progress. So in the beginning, we can all agree, oh yeah, if someone's out robbing, stealing, killing, raping, torturing, they're criminals. They don't belong in society, and that's what police are there to protect you from, people that do those things, stopping you from being able to live your life freely. And that's why they're arrested, and I understand and support that. On the other side of the coin, the more laws that are made, the more people become criminals that really are not criminals per se. It's just that now the law is making them a criminal. A new law, a new rule makes them a criminal. That's what we're seeing with these mandates that are being enforced as if they were laws. We're seeing people that are being construed as criminals when they're not really criminals at all. If there's no victim, in my opinion, there's no crime. And again, this is an opinion piece, so you can say what you want about that. It doesn't matter, whatever. But think about this. Think about this very fact, that your liberty is the only thing that should be protected by a government agent or a police officer, your freedoms, okay? And when they arrest you for something that their boss told them to do, and the argument I see all the time is the cops don't agree with it, they don't agree with it, they don't really want to do this, they think it's messed up, but they have to do what they're told, they have to follow orders. That does not hold any water or any weight with me or the court system. It's been ruled through numerous cases that does not hold water. If your boss tells you to do something that's illegal and you're implicit in stopping that from happening, you are just as guilty as your boss. You are just as guilty as the individual who told you to do it. Think about a criminal organization. If I'm a thug for a crime family, or like Cuomo, or if I'm a thug for some kind of business that's operating criminal, even if I don't know it when I start, but then I find out and then I start doing what my bosses tell me to do because they're putting food on my table and they're paying me, I'm still guilty of the crimes that I commit. Like, that doesn't hold. I'm not guiltless because someone told me to do it. Like, that's ridiculous, and we wouldn't put up with that in a criminal organization. But when they call it government, somehow it's not a criminal organization, but it really is a criminal organization because they lie to us all the time, and they enforce edicts upon us that they themselves will not follow. And then they arrest us for those same things that they will not follow. You know, the police go out in these big groups of people, a lot of times not wearing masks themselves, arresting people for not wearing masks and for being in big groups. Now, does that make any sense? No. You cannot enforce a law that you yourself will not follow. That's ridiculous. And there's no thinking involved in this, but people are going along with it. So, the role of police officers, if it is their role to uphold their oath, which is to uphold our liberties and uphold the Constitution, then if they're doing what their boss tells them to do and it violates the Constitution or that oath, they have a duty to protect the citizens by, number one, not arresting us when we're not doing anything that would be construed as actually criminal, and number two, arresting the true criminals, who are the politicians who are doing the things that are making what we do as legal citizens crimes. Those are the ones they need to stand up to. And if the police officers and law enforcement and attorneys and all the people in government who agree with me would just stand up to these few tyrants that exist in our cities and our states and our country and our governments, and send them a clear message that they will be tried when they violate our rights, they would stop being so quick to violate them. I guarantee it. But us people out here on the streets, us citizens that don't get to wear a little badge that somehow makes us a superhero, we don't have the ability to combat the police force who's working for these corrupt politicians. So if you think the politician who's your boss is corrupt, then as a police officer, you should be fighting that person, not doing the bidding of that person and fighting a citizen. I mean, this is logic. Like, let's use some real logic here. Let's really think about this, folks, and figure out where we belong as individuals and citizens. Keep yourself out there. Keep your mind straight. Keep your eyes open. You know, unlike me, maybe sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut. I got a big mouth, and sometimes it gets me in a lot of trouble. But I mean, that's the road that I decided to walk. And you know, I got a big ass mouth, and one of these days, you know, maybe the wrong person will come along. It ain't like I haven't been punched in the face before, and that'll probably happen again. So, and I don't really care about that, you know. But the fact of the matter is, I'm just telling you what I think a lot of people believe and know to be true, but they don't know how to voice it, or they don't know what to do about it. And here's my solution. Let's start convincing the law enforcement and police officers in our society to take a stand against the politicians and the bosses that they have that are trying to get them to force themselves to break their own oaths. Because a lot of these are really good people, and I don't want them to be my enemy. I don't want to fight them in the streets. That's not my goal. I'm not a big, huge hater of someone who takes that on as their noble cause to be a police officer and try to better themselves and better their society. You know, some people do it for different reasons, some good, some bad. That's the way life is. But I want them to uphold the oaths of office that they've taken, or just consider themselves illegitimate and step down. I mean, that's it. If they can't do it, just step down. I mean, that's the way it is, right? Anyway, you guys have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for listening.